I'm Dr. Blonna, host of the Conquering Your Stress podcast. Welcome to the 25th edition of my podcast. In this podcast, I'm going to continue our discussion of mindfulness by focusing on internal mindfulness. You know, your thoughts, your feelings, and the self-statements that you make to yourself. I'm going to focus on the difference between noticing and judging or evaluating these self-statements and these thoughts. For more information on this, check out my most recent edition of my newsletter. That's what my article and my Stress Buster tip are on. And to get a copy of the newsletter, just simply drop me a line at drrich@conqueringyourstress.com. I want to reinforce the notion that being mindful of your thoughts and feelings and self-statements in the present moment is really different from judging or evaluating them. When you are truly mindful of your thoughts and your feelings and your self-statements, you really are just noticing them without judgment or without evaluation. They're really descriptions. When you can do this, it's as if you've stepped outside of your body and are really looking at your thoughts and your self-statements as an outside observer. And being able to be an outside observer of your own thoughts and self-statements is really a key step in developing what ACT would call as a self as context view of the world. And that really sets you up for being able to diffuse from unhelpful thoughts and feelings and self-statements. When you can really do this and step back and be an observer, you're able to say things like, how interesting. I'm having the thought that, and then you would describe whatever the thought is. Or something like, isn't that interesting what my mind is telling me about? Now when you're able to do that, you're really on your way to being able to kind of diffuse from unhelpful thoughts that really stand in the way of meeting your goals. I know this sounds simple, but it really isn't easy to do at first. Most of the people I've worked with really grew up in environments where simply noticing things wasn't the norm, where the norm really was judging and evaluating, and it's really hard for them to stop and just observe and note what they're thinking and feeling. So it's going to take some practice, but you can do it. And when you start to pay more attention to the activity going on in your mind, you'll probably really notice that a lot of your thoughts and self-statements are evaluations and judgments. And they're really not very helpful in meeting your goals and living a life based on your values. Now remember, one of the keys to ACT and to my way of teaching stress management is really to live a life based on your own values and the standards and goals that you set based on these values. And the key to doing this is really noticing when your thoughts are not helpful because they're being more judgmental rather than simply observing. Practicing mindfulness on a regular basis can help you notice when your mind is simply noting things going on or whether it's judging and evaluating. In my books, I have activities for assessing whether or not your self-statements are descriptions or evaluations. Here's a couple of examples. I want you to imagine that you're looking at a picture of a shiny red convertible two-seater sports car. Okay, you got that picture in your mind, this little red convertible sports car with two seats. Which of the following statements are descriptions and which are observations? I'll read the statements twice and you just jot down if they're D for description, E for an evaluation. Statement A, that red sports car can only seat 2 adults. Statement A, that red sports car can only seat 2 adults. Statement B, what a hot car that is. Statement B, what a hot car that is. Statement C, that red car is for young single people. Statement C, that red car is for young single people. And statement D, the last statement, that red sports car has a 350 horsepower engine that can go from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. All right, statement D, that red sports car has a 350 horsepower engine that can go from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. If you said that the descriptions were statements A and D, give yourself a star. The statement, that red sports car can only seat two adults, is an objective statement. It's a description of the fact that the car has only two seats. The statement, that red sports car is a 350 horsepower engine that goes from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds, is really an objective description of the fact that the car has a 350 horsepower engine and it has been proven to accelerate from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds. Statements B and C are judgments because they're subjective. The statement, what a hot car that is a personal opinion. Some people may not think it's hot at all, it's just simply red. The statement, that red sports car is for young single people, is another personal opinion. In fact, married people, older people, and anyone with a driver's license can buy and drive that car. Alright, so you need to practice and pay attention to whether your thoughts are really simply observations or whether they're judgments and evaluations. And that's really what you do when you practice mindful meditation, and we'll talk about that next month. I hope you enjoyed this month's podcast. I look forward to working with you again in the future. Bye.